Okay, somewhere between an informal event and an event we've long been waiting for. So as everybody takes their seats, it looks like we've got pretty good spacing. If you're comfortable with the amount of space you have, it would be okay to take your mask off. If you feel like you're right on top of somebody, you can keep it on. We'll let that be your option. But first, it is my pleasure. This is a year in the making to kind of cut the ribbon and open Bedrock officially. We've been through a partial opening for a while, but this is kind of the culminating event in the big day. I'd like to start with welcoming a lot of folks that we have in the room. This is kind of an interesting group of special visitors, distinguished visitors, and once again, those who built Bedrock. But first, I'd be remiss if I didn't welcome my boss, who is commanding, I think, still the largest numbered Air Force in the United States Air Force, and his wife, Major General Bibb. And he is accompanied today with his command chief for 18th Air Force and his wife, Trish. We certainly want to welcome both of you. I should probably not go any further without welcoming my wife, who is sitting all by herself. And certainly my fellow wing commander on base, Greg and Kendra, who are right behind them. I will get a chance maybe one time throughout our comments to highlight that there are different levels of integration when you have multiple wings on a base. This is one of the places that is genuine, and that there's a member of his team that's not only devoted most of his days to this endeavor, but also a lot of financial resources to make this happen. A couple of special guests who I haven't even had the opportunity to meet yet. But first, from the Delaware State Innovation Officer, Mr. Rob Nicholson, if you could raise your hand. Hey, Rob, I'll get a chance to meet you afterwards. Thanks for making it. Ryan had told me you would be here. And then our friends, do we have anyone from the Chamber of Commerce here? Or did they not make it? Not yet. Okay, well then we're not going to, they don't get an introduction if they're late. I certainly want to welcome all those who are virtually joining us on zoom.gov. It would only be appropriate if you do something virtual for the Innovation Lab. But really, most importantly, I have to highlight the 4 founding members of Bedrock. If you fast forward 10 or 20 years, I think something special is born here today, and a lot of pride in those. So Major Packy Heel, the kind of founding Chief Innovation Officer, now retired, Master Sergeant Justin Pittman, Pete Cannizzaro, and Jeremy Gerbrick. If you can please raise your hand in a round of applause. The founding members, and of course, we've been working on this long enough that they have rotated out into different positions, and they are replaced now really with only 2 full-time staff that are here. And so the new Chief Innovation Officer, Captain Ryan Nickel, and Staff Sergeant Fife Tongson. How do you pronounce that last name? Okay, just like I said, that's amazing. But inbound, and then outbound is DZ, Lieutenant behind him. DZ is headed to this new innovation effort from the United States Air Force level for logistics called Tesseract. There are 10 founding members of Tesseract, and I don't know if we've said this before, 4 out of those 10 in the entire United States Air Force come from Dover, either currently serving or just had PCS. And so there's something special about that. Sergeant Lou, are you here? 100% of the artwork that you see in here was done on his free time. And I know you saw it when you came in, but as you get a chance to see the walls around here, that was all from one NCO. When I said total force is, I guess, Mr. Dave Jackson in one capacity, and then in another capacity, he's a Chief Master Sergeant. Where is he, Greg? Where are you? Okay, I wanted to make sure I called you out. Lorraine Kimmick. So if you think of CPI and a natural overlap with innovation, Mike Pristacco, I think I saw as I walked in. So it's her supervisor. He has allowed her to spend a portion of her time part-time helping this. And we are in the process of actually moving that function, I think, into this building because of the synergy and the overlap. Lastly, we are fortunate at this wing to have 12 lieutenants that are awaiting pilot training. Their dream to start their career. And most of them are out doing other things around base. But we were fortunate to have 3 lieutenants that have been assigned at Bedrock. And then will each of the lieutenants please raise your hand? Okay, we got one back here. And I'll stop right there. Are you interns? So I'm going to mention you in our speech, but because there's such a small footprint of full-time folks, we started up a 4-month intern program, and we kicked that off just this Monday. And so they're just getting started. Um, Earlier this month, our new Chief of Staff of the Air Force released a paper on his strategic approach as he begins leading our United States Air Force. The paper was titled Accelerate Change or Lose. It was a clear-eyed acknowledgement of the strategic challenges that lie ahead. He stated, and I quote, "A large and growing body of evidence suggests that we risk losing in great power competition, a high-end fight, quality airmen, our credibility, and the ability to secure our future." This acknowledgement merely amplifies the 2018 National Defense Strategy, as well as many national security scholars who state that America's military and warfighting advantages are diminished. An overmatch we have long been accustomed to is now eroding. Diminished, eroding, in the same sentence as U.S. warfighter advantage, it's tough to say. Tough to say, but necessary to hear. Not pessimistic, but instead a call for action. An acknowledgement that there is still a unique window of opportunity if we are willing to accelerate change. If we all do our part, then the airmen of Dover Air Force Base must start now. This is where Bedrock comes in. Quietly, since January of 2019, with just the 4 founding members you met, Bedrock at Dover has been investing in a new, innovative culture. What you see today is the culmination of our eagerness to change, but we acknowledge that in order to accelerate that change that our Air Force needs, we first need a place to foster that change. At Dover, that place is Bedrock. Bedrock is loaded with all the technology, prototyping, 3D printing, and virtual reality that you would expect in an innovation lab. For 20 months, this is where we started. But we acknowledge that our unique window of opportunity demands more than a high-tech lab with the feel of Silicon Valley, but also a place where airmen can collaborate and exchange ideas. We started with a podcast studio in order to listen and learn from others. The Bedrock podcast already has 20 episodes, including interviews with the Air Force Surgeon General, Mr. Simon Sinek, and the Air Force Chief Software Officer, just to name a few. Next, we decided to design and dedicate 2/3 of the facility towards a shared space where airmen can collaborate with each other. That started with this very stage where the airmen can have a venue to celebrate career milestones. And most recently, they hosted 10 TED Talk style presentations on race and diversity. But most of what you see here today is co-working space where the prevailing idea matters less about how much rank you have on your shoulders and more about the idea itself. There is an entire section in the corner devoted to our Key Spouse program so that these selfless volunteers can have their own place to meet and continue to serve others. The uniqueness of Bedrock is an acknowledgement that the solutions to our toughest problems lie within the airmen who already serve. It offers these problem solvers a place they can call home. Bedrock is run by Total Force Airmen volunteers, so it could not be more fitting that the first class of 4 interns began this week with us here today. So back to accelerating change. Dover has embraced change for years, but starting today, thanks to places like Bedrock, we are postured to accelerate that change because we know that losing is not an option. Finally, a place to empower our most courageous problem solvers to collaborate, ruthlessly prioritize, and rapidly move forward with digital, low-cost, and high-tech solutions. I commit that Bedrock will reject business as usual. I demand that Bedrock be the antibody to bureaucracy, a place where maximum delegation, trust, and empowerment rule the day, and a spirit of collaboration within and throughout. I am again appreciative of our founding members, our newest directors, the countless volunteers, and those from our civil engineering, contracting, wing staff agencies, and communications squadron who enabled this afternoon's ribbon cutting to become a reality. Thank you, and it is now time to cut the ribbon. I would like to ask if Colonel Haynes, Major Hill, Captain Nickel, and our Command Chief, Chief G, please join me on stage for the ribbon cutting. Thank you. Are we gonna move this? You want to move that front? And I'm going to put my mask back on for this. So if we could have a, let's just do this for a photo op. This is ridiculous. All right, let's just get a photo op here, and then we'll magically cut the ribbon. Packy, get up here. Everybody in the picture? Or you want to actuate the lever?
Sure.
There we go. So kind of quick, as far as that goes, when we have the opportunity now to kind of mingle a little bit, I know some of our visitors haven't had a chance to see the full facility. When I say that 2/3 of the space is collaborative and co-working space, that's everything you see here. It's through this kind of hallway and set of doors where the technology side of the lab begins. And so I'm going to turn off the microphone and make sure that our visitors get a chance to see things that are not really obvious. And I know the Bedrock team will walk them through that tour. And we also have an opportunity for a couple media engagements at the very end of our visit. But thank you very much.